Now we have talked about the structure of DNA. We talked about how the sex determination can take place. But did we talk about how life started on this earth? When we say how life started on this earth, actually we are talking about evolution. Evolve, to evolve something new came on this earth. We are finding so many plants and animals around us. Crores and crores of varieties of plants and animals can be found on this universe. How are they able to adapt themselves to their surroundings? What helps them to stay here for generations to generation? Is there something happening with them? How are they able to acclimatize in their surroundings? When I use the word acclimatize, means how are they able to adjust in their surroundings? Whether they adjust bodily or whether they try to have some various adaptive features to overcome the various obstacles in life. Are they able to adapt because they get variations from generation to generation? Are variations only helpful in acclimatizing these animals to stay on this earth? There are various questions which come in this mind. And when we study, if we study from one small bacteria to human beings. Now bacteria, if I talk about bacteria, which is a unicellular organism, it can survive. We can see that it is surviving in hot climate, in cold climate, in water, in soil, in air, everywhere it is present, but their life is short. These bacteria, which are actually immune to high temperature, they can stay there. So they have slowly and slowly over the years, generation to generation, there are some variations which have come, which have helped them to adapt to their surroundings. This part we are going to learn how the evolution of human beings took place. It's said that human beings have come from the forefathers which were monkeys or which were apes. Why do we say? There might be some similarity. Now there are similarities in human beings and monkeys. We can say, when we see a monkey, you will say, oh, it looks so similar to human beings. Actually, they are our ancestors. When we talk like this, we are actually talking of how the evolution took place from monkeys to human beings. So all these questions, are the variations useful? Whether the variations are only thing which adapt them to the surroundings, whether they can acclimatize because of some other reasons, how they are able to live on this earth. There are so many types of animals and plants with various sizes, complex bodies, simple body, unicellular body, multicellular body, having different type of appendages, having different type of adaptations. There are various kinds of like this. But how do we say what is the theory of evolution which is actually accepted? The theory of evolution, we are going to see how the theory started, how the people started to understand and study how the evolution must have taken place. It is said that according to various people or various scientists, we can say the one life form appeared crores of years earlier. That life form maybe was able to live for some time, and that life form slowly and slowly came to be unicellular organism. From the unicellular organism, after many generations, you can say the unicellular organism slowly started developing to multicellular organism. This is how a theory of life is coming forward. Now there were a lot of changes in the body structure, there were a lot of changes in the behavioral structure, there were a lot of changes which were very gradual, very slow. It didn't take place in 1 minute or 2 minutes or 1 hour or 1 year. It took place thousands of years, I can say crores of years. In the book, according to the theory, it is 300 crores years back what I am saying. The evolution must have taken so many years back with various types of forms, complexity of body, slowly gradual changes took place, and one small life form changed into such a complex human being or animal. Huge trees we are seeing nowadays, huge animals we are seeing, complex body like human beings we can make out. We have studied this in various various types of organisms are there which are of various size and shapes. So what is happening? It's actually, we can say it's a type of organic evolution. Why organic evolution? Because it started from the carbon. It is said that carbon was present in the universe. Slowly it took the form of a life, and that life started gradually changing, and that is why it's called as organic evolution. So organic evolution can be expressed that it is the progressive development of plants and animals from ancestors of different forms and functions. Progressive development. It didn't take place in 1 minute. It took place very, very slowly. So slowly that if I am alive for 100 years also, I cannot make out. I have to be alive for crores of years. Then how this theory came out? Now this theory must have been come out by the scientists who have undergone lot of research. They must have seen the various records kept by the earlier person or the earlier men centuries ago, and based on their conclusions, some new conclusions must be made. And this type of evolutionary study, they call it as organic evolution. So definition is very important. What is organic evolution? It is the progressive development of plants and animals. In general, when I say organisms, I am referring to plants, I am referring to animals. So it is the progressive development of plants and animals from ancestors. Now who are our ancestors? Generations before. Or they might be of different forms, they might be of different functions, but those were our ancestors. From those ancestors, the new at present actual plants and animals have come. So that is called as organic evolution. Now the next question comes, are there any evidences, any proof that this organic evolution must have taken from our ancestors? Yes, there are some proofs. There are some types of evidences which we can say. We are going to deal with 4 types of evidences. First is morphological evidence. First is morphological evidence. Morphology. What is morphology? Looking at something, I can say it has 2 legs, 2 hands, 1 head, 1 eye. Morphology I am seeing. What it appears, that is called as morphology. When I see a morphology, that means it is you can make out that monkeys look like animals or monkeys look like human beings. When I say morphologically, they are same. So this is the evidence. One of the evidence I can say that morphologically our ancestors were quite like us, and therefore this can be considered as one of the evidence. In activity 13.5 on page 170, there are some pictures given. You have to answer the questions of that. Observe the pictures and answer the following questions. What are the common features that you observe among plants and among animals? Now in plants, there are 3 plants pictures. What is common in that? You say they all have leaves, then they all are green in color, then they all are growing in one part, then they are they are growing in the soil. What is common in animals? According to the picture, you can say the animals are having 4 limbs, the animals have ears, the animals have very sharp eyes. So these are the various answers you will give. What is common? In animals, you will say mostly the animals have 4 legs which are walking on the ground, they have eyes, they have ears. So these are the common morphological proofs which we can say that ancestors also must be having. Now if I say that whatever changes, adaptations are taking place, variations are taking place, but 3 things remain common, one generation to another generation. What are the 3 things? First is growth, second is metabolism, and third is reproduction. These 3 things, unless it takes, no next generation will be formed. So in spite of any type of variations takes place, in spite of any type of evolutionary changes take place, these 3 functions, that is the growth, they are going to grow. metabolism, they are going to eat, they are producing energy. And third, they are going to reproduce, that is why the next generation is going to come. So these three functions are found to be common. So evolutionarily, we can say they have a common origin or a common function. That means these three are the common functions which are passed on from one generation to another generation, that means from ancestors to present generation. This is about morphological evidence. Second is anatomical evidence. What do you mean by anatomy? This is a subject in medicine. Anatomy means when we study the different parts of your body. Now I have hands and legs. Okay, now birds have wings. But can I say that the wings were actually the forelimbs for the birds? How do I come to that conclusion? There are different types of functions, different types of origins. If I say that there is evidence that some animals or some organisms have different origin but same function, they are called as analogous. So there are two types. One is analogous and one is homologous. There are two types of anatomical evidence, which is analogous and homologous. What is analogous? As I said, it is of different origins but have same function. Analogous organisms, analogous plants, analogous animals, they are the animals or the plants which might have different origins, or they might have the parts which are coming from different origins. Originally they are different, but they are performing the same functions. Then what is homologous? Just opposite. It is same origin, okay, same origin, but different function. So analogous and homologous are the two types of organisms or parts which can relate to anatomical evidence. Analogous means which are the parts which are having the different origin but same function. Now according to your book, you can say that there are two examples given. The wings of a fly, house fly. You can example house fly, mashi. So wings of the fly and the wings of a bird, both are flapping. Yes, both are flapping. That means function is same. Wings of fly and wings of a bird. Fly is an insect, bird is such a big animal, but since they have wings, they have different origins, but they have same function of flying. Okay, now what are homologous organs? Homologous means my forelimbs, these are called as forelimbs. This forelimbs and the bat or the bird which have the wings, they all have same origin. That means I have the forelimbs and bat or the bird has a wing. They are coming from same origin. Earlier it was said the bony structure is same, but inside the function is totally different. Human beings are using hands for holding, writing and other things. But what is bat and birds doing? Bat and birds are actually using the wings to fly. They have the same origin, but they have the different function. Here analogous, wings of small insect and wings of the bird. They are performing same function, but the origin is not same. So these are the two types of anatomical evidence, analogous and homologous. There is an example in plants also. You all have seen pine trees. Now pine trees, female and male cone is different. Now the scales on the pine tree, there are some scaly structure. The scales on the pine tree of female is related to carpel of a flower. What is carpel? The female reproductive parts. So the cone, the pine trees which have the cone, those cones will have two types of cones. That one cone which resembles the carpel and one cone which resembles the stamen of the flower. I can say they have different function, but the origin is same. So they are analogous organisms. What is vestigial structure? Now vestigial structure actually are the non-functional organ of your body. It doesn't function, but it is still present in the body. Can you just think of which part of your body has no work, but it's still there? There are some parts which might be used ancestors back, but now we are not making use of it. One such part is the vertebral column behind, at the end of vertebral column, that's called as tailbone. Now, as we know that monkeys and apes are our ancestors. Monkeys have the tail, right? So the last bone actually was supposed to hold on to the tail. Now evolution has taken place years and years and years. Our human beings, the human being body has that tail still there. The tail bone containing 4 small bones which are actually responsible for holding the tail. But do we have a tail? No. So that bone actually is of no use, but that's why it is called as vestigial structure. There are some muscles also which are attached to it, and if evolution would have not taken place, we would be having a tail like a monkey. So this type of vestigial structure is found in us. Another vestigial structure which is found in our body is appendix. You all must have heard appendix burst, lot of pain is there in the stomach. Now there is an appendix present near our stomach. Now appendix, there is no use now for human body. But what is the use? What was the use earlier? The appendix was used by the human beings when they were only dependent on the raw food which they used in the jungle. They didn't know how to cook. So their bodies wanted, or their body had such type of structure where the appendix came into existence, and that appendix used to digest the cellulose, digest the meat which they used to eat raw. But are we eating raw? No. Now we are not eating raw. So what has happened over the so many thousands of years? Appendix is still there, but the function of appendix is no more required by our body. And this is another example of that. Another example is ears. Now this ears, where it's said that ancestors back, these ears used to be very big, because maybe that time they must be protecting the inner ear, or some other reason must be there. Over the evolutionary years, this has become so small. And this, even if you have heard the long stories of Ramayana and Mahabharata, people say that the characters in them were huge people, very huge, very tall, very hefty. But now do we see such type of human beings? No. Evolution has taken place. The things which are not required maybe are there in your body, but it is of no use. In plants also, there is one plant which is called as Indian pipe. There are some leaf-like structures over that Indian pipe, though they do not have chlorophyll in it. They do not make food of their own. But this type of Indian pipe named plant has scales like the chlorophyll. Now there are some flowers which have stamens, but they do not contain anthers. That means there it has remained over the years. Stamen is there, but there is no anther which carries the pollen grains. So these are the types of vestigial organs which are present in plants and animals, but are of no use. But we can consider them as an evidence for the evolution theory. So these are one of the evidence where these things were present, but now it is of no use, and there are some proofs from this type of structures. Fourth evidence is paleontological evidence. Paleontology is referred to the fossils. Now, what are fossils? You all know fossils are the remains of plants and animals. Remains means leftover plants, leftover animals, impressions of plants, impressions of animals. Many times we get the fossils of different animals which have become extinct also. So the process of fossilization takes place in a very long time. Years and years and years, thousands of years are required to form the fossils. On study, when the research was going on, or when still the research is going on, what they found, the researchers found that the lowest, deepest layer in the earth, they had the invertebrates. That means the animals which did not have a vertebral column. So those invertebrates remains were found deep inside the earth. Above the invertebrates, they found some amphibians remains. That shows that maybe when the life came into existence, first the invertebrates were formed. That's why they got deeply buried. Then above them, what was buried? What did they find out? They found that above the invertebrates, there were some amphibians or frog-like structures. And that amphibians formed a layer and some remains of amphibians were formed. That shows after the invertebrates, amphibians must have come into this existence. Above the amphibians, some fish scales were found. That means the aquatic animals were found. Some fishes were found which had some remains on the third layer from down. Above that, they found the fossils of reptiles. And then above the reptiles, the mammals were found, which we are. So I can say in a word that mammals must have come or originated from reptiles. Reptiles must have originated from prehistoric fishes, or you can say amphibians, and these amphibians must have evolved from the invertebrates. This is how the fossil story goes, and that type of evidence through fossils is called as paleontological evidence. There are some connecting links in these fossils. When I said about whether we have evolved from reptiles or whether any link is there between the two types of animals, there are some examples given in your book. There is an example of animal known as Peripatus. The Peripatus has a similarity both with Annelida and Arthropoda. Annelida is a type of phylum, Arthropoda is another type of phylum. The Arthropoda has different types of appendages. Appendages means legs and hands, small. And then what is happening, what is present in the Annelida, they have cuticle covered with them. They have small nephridia, that means the nervous system is not so developed. So this Platypus or Peripatus, not Platypus, Peripatus is the name of the organism which is actually similar to Annelida and Arthropoda. So this type of question have come in the board. What is the connecting link of Peripatus with other two animals? So you have to say Peripatus animal has a connecting link between Annelida and Arthropoda. With Annelida, it shows some nephrons and appendages and cuticle. And like Arthropoda, it shows the open circulation and the trachea, that means the lungs for the respiration purpose. So it shows both the similarities with two types of phylums. This is one of the examples. Second type of example is the Platypus. It looks like a duck. Platypus is the animal which looks like a duck. Now it lays eggs like reptiles, but it has a mammary glands like mammals. So it is the connecting link between the reptiles and the mammals. From this example, we can conclude that from the reptiles, maybe the mammals have evolved. The best example is the duck-shaped platypus. This platypus lays eggs. Like whom? Like the reptiles. Reptiles lay eggs. And it has mammary glands also. Like whom? Like mammals. So these are the connecting links between them. In short, I can say Peripatus is linking Annelida and Arthropoda, and Platypus is linking the mammals and the reptiles, or we can say human beings have come from mammals. This is a connecting link between the two organisms or two types of phylums. The next is evidence is embryological evidence. Embryological, from the word embryo we can make out. There is a diagram given on 174 page. Please turn to 174. See the comparison of all the embryos of various types of animals. They are shown for fish, tortoise, chick, calf, rabbit, human beings. What similarity you can make out? You can see that starting when the one fusion of male gamete and female gamete takes place, it forms an embryo. When this embryo starts growing, the first few stages look similar. That is the evidence that these animals have evoluted, and this embryos also look quite similar. And the difference looks in the last stage. If you see the last stage, when the baby is almost ready, that stage is different. But the embryological stages are quite similar. And that is the evidence that evolution has taken place from reptiles to mammals or Annelida to Arthropoda. This is the examples where we can say that embryological evidence is there. They show a large amount of similarities in the embryos.